Very much a non-Christian, partying, traveling, surfing, nightclubs. So religion was something I thought old people were involved in, and I just thought it was a grandmother and old ladies.
Ian McCormick loved the ocean. He was an avid diver, but nothing prepared him for what he was about to encounter. Ian was stung by 5 box jellyfish. One can kill a person in 4 minutes, and he wasn't ready to die.
When I was hit, the fisherman turned white and said, "Ian, one of these will kill you." I could feel the poison moving quickly into my body, and I knew I had very little time. By the time they got me into the ambulance, I was completely paralyzed. So I was frightened. I thought, well, perhaps I won't make it. Is there life after death? And as I'm questioning all these things, my mother appears in a clear vision in front of me, on her knees praying. I didn't realize, but back in New Zealand, my mother was the only Christian. God revealed my face to her and said, "Your eldest son Ian is nearly dead. Pray for him now." And she's saying, call out to God. No matter how far from God you are, son, he will forgive you. And so I asked God to forgive me and forgive others who have sinned against you. And I thought, well, I can do that. And then God showed me 2 faces of people I had difficulty forgiving. And I chose to forgive them. The peace that came in has never left me in 28 years. Well, I knew I'd given my heart to God, and there was a peace had come, but my body was still dying. And they got me into the hospital. I could feel myself coming out of my body. I could hear them talking and saying, that's all we can do for you, as they shoved anti-serum and neurotoxin into me. And I thought, well, I'll stay awake all night, but I just had no strength. I remember shutting my eyes, thinking, well, I'll gather some more strength. And as it happened, the machines monitoring my heart flatlined, and I was pronounced dead. And so I'm next minute out of that hospital in complete darkness. And then I could feel evil, the most intense evil. It was like invisible eyes were looking at me. It was like a spiritual darkness. And I heard men screaming out of the darkness saying, "Shut up, you deserve to be here." I said, "Deserve to be where?" Another man in front of me, "You're in hell." Thinking, well, God's every right to send me here. And yet I reflected on the fact that I had prayed in the ambulance. Next minute, radiant light pierces through the darkness and draws me out. And then I see this tunnel of light. What's that? I'm now drawn into this narrow tunnel. Jesus said, small is the way, narrow is the way. And I moved down this tunnel of light at the speed of light. Waves of radiance come up, and saw the full radiance and glory of God. It just covered the heavens. So here I am trying to reflect on, is this real? I responded back and said, well, look, if I'm out of my body, I wish to return. He said, Ian, if you return, you must see in a new light. I said, well, are you the true light? His response to me was, Ian, God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:5. God is light. I'm thinking, well, darkness, I've just come from that. And they called it hell. Is this the kingdom of heaven? Is that Almighty God? And I was shaken. I thought, he knows my name. He knows my thought before I even speak. Then he must see all my sins. And I'm not a good man. And I cried like a child as waves of love and acceptance which came into me. I said, well, God, you can't love me, and started telling him my sins. And each sin I told him, more love. So I walked into this cloud. As I did, my hand disappeared, and then I put my face in, and I couldn't see my own spiritual body. It had been eclipsed by the radiance. It was like veils of miniature stars. As I moved through these veils, I could feel the light that I'd stepped into, and it was now healing my heart of hearts, my broken heart. The cloud began to part, and I saw Jesus with his hands outstretched, bare feet, dazzling white robes. It's as though he had taken this cloud and clothed himself in garments of this cloud of light. And as I looked towards the face of the Lord, radiance, the source of all the light, was coming out of his face. You knew if he spoke, constellations, galaxies would come into existence. And I can see a whole new world opening up behind him. It's as though he's been a door of light. And as he's opening this doorway into eternity, I can see fields, grass with the same radiance and glory that's upon him right across the pasture, the flowers, the crystal clear river, trees along both sides, mountains, blue sky, rolling hills. As I'm standing there, I knew I'm home. I just began to step forward, and Jesus came right back in front. The door closed as he said, now, Ian, now that you've seen, do you wish to remain here or do you wish to return? I said, remain here. I said, I've no one to go back for. No one loves me. You love me. And I looked back to say goodbye, cruel world, and the Lord showed me my mother. The one person I loved and honoured. I thought, if I pass through into eternity now, will she know that I prayed in that ambulance? Will she have any concept that her prayers helped her son to give his heart to the Lord in his dying seconds? Will she have any way she would know this? I thought, she will not. I thought, how selfish would it be for me to enter eternity, my mother have to bury me, and think for all intents and purposes she lost her son to hell. I said, Lord, I want to go back. He said, Ian, if you return, you must see things in a new light, from an eternal heavenly perspective, not a temporary earthly one. I look back again. My father, my brother, my sister, hundreds of thousands of people appeared behind them, a sea of humanity. I said, well, who were they? He said, and I want you to go back and tell them also, because most will not come into a church any longer to hear my name. I said, but God, I don't love them. I don't know these people. I know my family. I love my mother. He said, Ian, I love them. I desire all of them to come to know me. I said, I don't understand that love. How can I go back down a tunnel into darkness and back into my body? He said, son, tilt your head. Feel the liquid drain from your eye. Now open your eye, Ian, and see. As I opened my eye, I was instantly back in my body, lying on a slab in a morgue, with an Indian doctor holding my right foot, cupped in his left hand with a scalpel pricking the base of my foot like a dead piece of meat. And as he saw me open my eye, the poor doctor went through the ceiling. I said, God, if that's true, can I look out my other eye? As I turned my head to the left, in the doorway were nurses who'd worked on me in the A&E. They saw me terror and hit them, and they smashed into each other as they ran. I could feel nothing from my neck down. I said, God, if I've seen you, can you please heal me and enable me to walk out of the hospital and live a normal life? The power was like electricity coming from the tip of my head. Death had come in through my feet, now life was coming in, and within 3 or 4 hours I was totally healed and walked out of the hospital. And I believe in the resurrection power and the healing power. And I said, God, what's happened to me? He said, you are a reborn Christian. He said, read a Bible. I said, I don't know what a reborn Christian is. Do you have to die and come back to life or something? He said, no, read a Bible, son. I said, I don't have one. He said, your dad has. In 6 weeks, in 1982, I read the entire Bible. All my sins had been forgiven when I prayed in the ambulance.